Once again, it's time to bring in my colleague and social media reporter, Mariama Diallo. Take it away again, Mariama.
Thanks, Shaka. As we've discussed, the African Union is taking heat from global human rights groups for its stance against the ICC. The AU unanimously passed a resolution declaring that no head of state or government should be subject to criminal charges while they are in office. Whether you agree or not, our audience was really stimulated by the EU's decision. We had hundreds and hundreds of responses from people expressing their views to our question of the week, which asked, what is your reaction to the EU's resolution that no sitting African head of state or government shall go on trial at The Hague during their tenure? Well, we'll begin with Desire Mawa. I guess it's one of those names like Boutros Ghali. He writes, it is absurd if you investigate African leaders who are campaigning for African states to withdraw from the ICC, you will find that they have blood on their hands. Those leaders seeking to skirt the court are effectively looking for a license to kill, maim, and oppress our people without consequences. Very strong statement. Another comment comes from Derek Tafuma from Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. He writes, the member states of the African Union must stop joining organizations only when it is convenient for them. They must also stop pushing to leave the organization to avoid any punishment. They must stay and make a difference by challenging any perceived unfairness. And I think one of your guests, Laura, talked about that earlier. And the countries continues threatening to leave the ICC are those that have cases before the ICC. How convenient? Well, Shaka, is it really convenient, or the African countries are simply making their case that they disagree with how the ICC appears to be targeting Africans?
Thank you very much, Daniel, it is all yours. It's your turn.
Thank you, Shaka. I wanted to make a couple of observations.
Mm-hmm.
The ICC is not beyond criticism. It is such a young institution, only 10 years old. It's not a perfect institution, like all other institutions, including the United Nations and the Security Council, and all other kinds of institutions. You know, it has a lot to improve. And it's also true that the cases that reach the ICC are vulnerable to international double standard. But having said that, we should not forget that the International Criminal Court is actually the biggest achievement of the world community since the Second World War in terms of fighting impunity at the highest level. It is the single most important and best available mechanism for us to be able to fight impunity committed at the highest level for the most serious crimes. It is the only existing institution that is able to hold powerful people in a position of authority to account for serious crimes. So in that sense, you know, actually one of the fundamental features of the Rome Statute is also the fact that official status, being a head of a state, being a head of government, is no more an excuse in front of law. And if you think about it, there is no difference between a warlord and a head of a state when it comes to committing mass atrocities. You know, whether you are a warlord or a sitting head of a state committing atrocities and crimes against humanity, against your own people, you should be held to the same standard as anyone else would in front of law. So it is this major achievement that we should not forget, but at the same time being cognizant of the fact that the ICC, as a very young institution, has limitations that need to be improved. But that is not in any way an excuse to completely negate the idea of the international criminal justice, and the idea of the International Criminal Court, and the idea of holding even heads of states to account for serious crimes.